What's up?
Hello.
It's
How's it
Ram.
going?
It's good
Yeah,
old Ram.
yay.
It's been a hot minute.
It's
What's going on?
it's been a while. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been
Um
a while.
not yeah. I don't know. I can't even remember the last time I was on here, so probably everything's new, everything's cool, everything's good.
Well, a moment
Yeah.
ago, and I'm sad, but you were holding a cat before we went live, and I feel like the cat needs to
Yeah.
return to show the world,
Norman,
our fans.
do you want to come see the people?
Kitty.
This is Norman. Everyone meet Norman.
Aw, hi Norman.
He's a little
Stormin'
he's a
Norman.
little troublemaker. Mm-hmm. He's probably gonna close something or open something. Oh god. Yeah, so we have two. We got two
Nice.
kittens. That's one. The other one's grooming herself on the couch right now, so that's been a little
Excellent.
bit hectic, but they're very fun.
Have you
He's fighting my
confirmed like
computer now, so
the sexes of them now? Like, do you know for sure?
we we have not. So we think boy and girl, as you know, but I've been doing some research and now I'm not sure which one's which. Everyone's like, it should be really easy to tell, but it's really not. We do have their first vet appointment is on oh, that's fun. Is on Monday. So yeah, we'll get them confirmed on Monday.
Nice, nice. Ram, that did not take a long time before your fans came out of the woodworks there.
Yeah,
Is there anything you
apparently.
want to
Thanks.
say? Aw, man,
Thanks.
just full of compliments right now.
Oh,
Keep them
it's
coming.
very awkward for me. Thanks, Poosicle. I wish you had a different name. That sucks for you, but
I
it's
don't know. I think
okay.
that name is fantastic. It really goes in line with typical conversation I have when I'm out and about in the world. So
Yeah,
you can be
I'm sure we have a
Ramsicle.
couple friends. I I don't know. I don't
Oh
know
man,
about
you're getting
that.
proposed now. Oh
Cool.
man.
I have no idea what to say. This is very uncomfortable for me, but that's okay. Thanks, guys.
Oh man, good stuff. The ambush worked, and I wasn't even in on it. I love it.
Hence,
Um,
neither.
well, we got a good lineup of stuff to talk about today, and I'm curious to see, Ram,
Mm-hmm.
how up to speed you are in the world of all things we talk about, since it's been a while and you've had cats.
Yeah. I'm gonna just probably go ahead and say not very caught up and up to speed, but we'll see. You never know.
I say, and you've had cats like you had a baby, because that's kind of what it is like when you get a new pet. You know, for the first little while, it's like you're just absorbed completely by them.
And and yeah, and there's two of them. So it's just like extra hectic.
Double trouble.
And they're like they get up at, God knows what time in the morning. I have to stop them
Hmm.
from eating things.
Yep.
Um the other one's meowing at me now. Like I have no time to myself. They also can't sleep anywhere but on me, so
Hmm.
that's fun. I'm sure.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
okay, Ruby. Yep. So it's awesome. Here's the other one.
Aww.
Oh, Poosicle wants to move in. Well, that's not going to happen.
One too many people.
Just yeah, exactly.
I do want to get your opinion though on multiple pets, because like I've looked after and I realize dogs are a different breed, completely species actually, than cats. But when I've looked after my friends two huskies along with my husky, I actually found like having multiples, it's not additive so much as it's just like it's like a percentile more effort versus like doubling the effort with each extra dog or cat in this instance. Like, is that your
Yeah.
experience as well?
Oh my god. Sorry. Um did I just no, we're good. Okay. Yeah, it actually is awesome to have both, and I'm really glad that we did get both because
Yeah.
they kind of take care of each other. They play with each other, they entertain each other. I don't have to be constantly playing with them. It's more so the constant need to make sure they're not like eating stuff. And when there's
Getting
two of
into
them, it's like
things.
one can be
Yeah.
eating something way over there, and then the other one is eating something somewhere else. And so that's where it gets a little bit more complicated. But in terms
Yeah.
of just the other stuff, yeah, I think having multiple is good. And these guys are so close because they are like twins, right? So
Yeah.
um they they love each other. Like they sleep together. They rarely, it's rare that you'll see them
Which is
sleeping
awesome.
in different
Yeah.
parts of, yeah, even the same room. Like they, and then when they wake up, when one wakes up, it's just like, oh my god, where's the other one? Like what happened? Where's it gone? What's going on? I need to find it. And they play like Marco Polo, like meow,
Yep.
meow, 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 and it's just so funny until they find each other. I'm like, oh my god, you guys are ridiculous. But yeah,
So
it's a
the
good
next
time. I was
natural question, anytime you get a new pet or pets, where's the Instagram?
I know lots of people have said that. And you know what? I'm really regretting not naming them Luke and Leia because they make out with each other like all the time. And I really wish that I had
But
called
I mean,
them Luke and
I'll
Leia,
look
but
make it.
yeah, exactly. So uh yeah, it would have been awesome if they had those names. Then I probably would have done an Instagram for them. But maybe next time. Maybe
Maybe
next
next
time.
time.
It's
Oh
hard to
man,
get
so
pictures
good.
of them too. They're always sleeping.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. Well, I mean,
when I
that's a
can get a
great
good
time to take
picture of them,
photos.
it's yeah, but that's all the photos, and it's the only time. Otherwise, it's like they're just blurs. They're just running.
So you just need to set up like a
It's crazy.
stationary camera of a room and just like capture all of their movements throughout a day and just like live stream it.
Yeah, basically. That's what we should do. I'll be in the video too, though, because I'm here all the time also, so
Yeah,
it'll be
yeah.
weird, but it'll be fine.
Excellent, excellent. My dreams.
Poosicle would like
Sorry,
it.
I'm moving on. Poosicle would really like it. Poosicle's been lighting up the
Yeah,
comments.
he'd love that shit. Or she, I
So
mean, I don't know. Maybe it's a dude.
I mean, yeah, or they. Let's be, 2022, very open
Progressive.
of all gender identifications. It is what it is. It's the name of the show.
It is what it is.
Moving on. Let's talk about some television. And Ram, I'm really curious to get your feedback and input here because you're so up to snuff with all of this. Let's start off with one that you'll actually be interested in. So I actually shared this with you earlier today, but I'm going to put up on the screen here for everybody to see. So a show that we talked about quite a bit early on into the Play Pause podcast sphere.
Yes.
Sphere. Only Murders in the Building. We covered it throughout the course of its episodic release. And here we are with a teaser on their Twitter. It's just this post. There's nothing else to go along with it. This popped up, and pretty quickly you can assume that it's more than just a basic photo. We've got 3 floors lit up in particular, 8, 6, and 2, and over like the quick conversation we had, Alex was very quick to say, oh, like 2, okay, 6 and 8, okay, so it's probably like June 8th 2022, I think is what he came across to, which is a Wednesday, which is the typical release date of this show.
Yeah, he did that so
I'm curious
fast.
to hear your thoughts, though. He did come up with that really fast. Yeah,
about this post and what it means. I mean, I was just like, oh yeah, cool. That makes a lot of sense. I trust you. I believe you. I'm going to go with Alex's gut on this one. So you did, though, bring up a good point that it is an American show and they like to be silly and backwards and do. So I think like 99% of the world does month, day, year for their dates typically, except the US. Like you said, they do day, month, year. So you were like, is it June 8th?
Or is it August?
Or
August
is it
6th?
August 6th? Yeah.
Or are all of these numbers
I think Alex said the 2. I think Alex said the 2 was for season 2.
Oh, for season 2.
But it also could be.
Yeah. That makes more sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing that crossed my mind was perhaps like what floors do the main characters live on?
Oh, that's a good point.
I don't
I have
actually
no idea.
recall what floors they live on.
No,
I was reading through the
me neither.
Twitter like replies and comments, and right away people are like, "Oh, there's no number 13 conspiracy." I'm like, "What building have you been in that's had a 13th floor? Like actually like
Yeah,
numbered 13? There's not
none,
like on
none. Yeah,
the typical North American buildings that exceed 13 floors almost always skip number 13. It's just one of those things
yeah, for sure.
people get weird out about that number. It's bizarre to me in this day and age, but I think it's just because it's been done for so long now that we've continued with it. But I truly think it's very silly that so many buildings just forego the number 13 floor.
I kind of like it. I think it's like a little like it's like a funny little thing that's just been happening forever, and it's just kind of like a given now that doesn't
Yeah.
really make any logical sense, but I like it. I don't know. I think it's a quirk in the world that really has no effect on anything,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like it's not going to screw up the building of the building or the mail delivery
Oh
or
yeah.
anything like
No,
that.
no.
It's
Everybody
just a
knows to
floor is
expect it.
missing or
Yep.
not labeled. And I
Yep.
mean, really, you could just say it's just not labeled because or labeled correctly because
Mm.
the 14. So like if you're in a what is this, a 14-story building, right?
Well, it would be a 13-story
Really it's
building
just a
technically,
13.
right?
Yeah. It's just labeled incorrectly.
Yeah, yeah.
So I don't know.
Like
It's
I'm
I
on the
don't know why
13th
I
floor,
like
but
it,
it's
but it's just
labeled
kind
as
of
floor 14. Yeah. Now,
yeah,
funnily enough, I've
exactly.
been in a building in KW here. For our viewers, listeners, we live in Kitchener-Waterloo, and there is a
Don't tell them that. They're gonna Buddy's gonna track me
I know,
down.
right? This Sun Life financial building definitely exceeds 13 floors. They have a floor 13 though, and it's not the 14th floor. It is the 13th floor, but the elevators don't have a number 13, or at least from what I recall. That floor is like a utilities floor. So when you have to like there's like a certain
Oh.
button combination and you need a key in to actually get to it. And I had been on it when I was doing some like contract work years and years back when I was like in my teens. And yeah, I got to go to the
That's so
actual
funny.
13th floor, not the 14th floor labeled over top of 13, the actual 13th floor. And I was like, this is so cool. I'm on an actual 13th
That
floor.
is
There's
cool.
no label for it on the elevator. And I just, yeah, I'll never forget that. Like it's stuck with me. They use it for like a lot
Yeah.
of storage for the building. Like there will be like desks and other furniture on that floor and utilities and all that kind of stuff. So
Oh my
yeah,
gosh.
the more you know.
That's really cool, actually. I like that. See? And that's like a funny thing. So they don't label it probably because it's
Mm-hmm.
meant for just like building stuff, like you said, like
Yep.
the maintenance or
Yep.
whatever. But it exists.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's fun. I
Anyway,
like
I've
that.
I've also seen in the comments people really quickly diving in. They're looking at like the B braille here, and they're saying, well, the braille for B is actually just two dots in the top left corner. I'm going to bring it up. Braille for B. Yeah, so you can see here it's supposed to be two upper dots, but when you look
Oh.
here, there's four dots, one in the lower and one in the higher, and it's like, what's that about? Like, why is that popping up in such a way? You know what I mean? So, if we go into the full alphabet here, let's see if I can full screen this.
Okay,
We're getting
moment.
into this deep, friends. Real deep.
Yeah.
Just the way I like it. So looking through, and I actually
So many
I
jokes.
don't see anything that like directly relates to what we saw there, unless I'm just peeking through.
Because it was like the two lower on the left
Yeah,
and the two
like it's
upper
two
on
lower
the
left.
right, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
like, I yeah, I'm just
Oh.
curious if maybe that represents a word in Braille, like maybe just basement. You know what I mean? I just don't know if
Maybe.
Braille is every letter
Maybe.
or not, right? Basement in Braille. Let's see. Actually, you know what? That is right. So basement is represented by
Oh,
that.
cool.
So
Okay.
they just short form it rather than you
Hey,
figuring
we're
out every
learning.
letter. So hey, learn something new. I don't know how to read in Braille, so this is learning. But it was just funny looking through the Twitter replies and coming across a few things like that. Anyway,
Like
yeah,
seeing what people were coming up with. Yeah. That's super cool.
yeah, yeah,
Well, I'm
exactly.
excited for
So yeah,
season 2. I don't know about you.
lots of people talking about it. I'm definitely excited for season 2. It's a show that when Alex was first trying to get us into it, I was just like, okay, like Steve Martin, like he's fine, and Steve
Martin
Oh,
Short.
Martin Short.
Yeah.
Steve Martin Short.
Steve Martin and
Was
Martin Short. Yeah.
the whole thing.
Steve Martin Short.
You know, he's okay too. Wasn't a big fan of what's her name? Selena Gomez. I
Me
still
neither.
don't think she's a particularly great
Yeah.
actress, but you know, it is what it is. I'm looking forward to it. Should be fun.
Norman is just too much. He's so curious. He's like, "What is happening on this screen? Can I look at it?"
Yeah.
Hey. Um, yeah, I was not a big fan of her either in that show. Her voice really bothered me. I think we talked about
Very
that
monotoned.
at
Yeah.
one point. Very monotone, and like I'm sure it's just her voice, and so like now I'm just critiquing somebody just for their natural voice. And I mean, I'm
Yeah.
sure people critique us too on our voices and stuff, but um,
And if they
it just
don't,
bothered
they
me.
should.
I didn't. Yeah, exactly. It just her voice just bothered me. I didn't like listening to it for too long, but um yeah, we'll see. I love Steve Martin and Martin Short together. I think they've always been like that's like a classic duo, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see what happens next.
Yeah, heck yeah, heck yeah. Moving along in the TV or potentially movie world, we don't really know. It's early days for this. We are getting Nova of the Nova Corps
Oh,
joining the MCU. So it looks like we could potentially be getting a new TV series on Disney Plus, or this could be a movie. It's really early days. You know, it's not going to be Phase 4. It's very unlikely to be Phase 4 at this point. Phase 4 is just got a full schedule. Phase 5, you know, there is a kind of like an entry, like a listings, like saying like a Marvel space movie of sorts. This could fill that. And very likely this character could
mhm.
be introduced in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, being that we've already seen the Nova Corps in the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. I think John C. Reilly was one of the Nova Corps officers in that first Guardians movie
Yeah.
that they connect with. So, you know, it'll be interesting to see how this character comes to be. It's being written by one of the writers from Moon Knight, which we're expecting very soon, starring Oscar Isaac. The next big Marvel show coming to Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Exciting stuff.
I'm actually really excited for Moon Knight. It looks really cool. So
Mm-hmm.
that makes this one slightly more interesting to me. I don't obviously really know much about Nova, but this
Mm-hmm.
graphic is very cool, so
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
kind
yeah,
of
yeah.
interesting, I'm sure, and I like when it's a show and I can just watch it, you know
Yeah.
me in movies, I'm not good at watching them, um, so TV shows are definitely more, uh, consumable for me, so
Yeah, yeah,
hopefully it is a show,
yeah. That'd be
but
fun.
yeah, all of it seems pretty cool, yeah.
We've also
Yeah.
got today coming out today on Paramount Plus for Xbox Game Pass
Oh,
subscribers. Apparently, you can just get it for free for like the first 30 or 60 days. I have to like double check that, but it's a thing apparently. Yeah, the new Halo show is dropping finally, and for those who know Halo, apparently it's like decent enough watch. For those who don't know Halo, it's like
nice.
a mildly okay show. So like, you know, it's more or less probably what most people expected it was gonna be by the time we saw the first trailer come out. It's always one of those things. Like anytime you have a show or a movie coming out on like, you know, something that you were a fan of previously. So whether it was like a toy line, very rarely you get toys before you get shows, but nonetheless, you know what I'm saying? Like something
Yeah,
outside of the TV movie hemisphere. Books are probably the most common adaptation here. You could be a huge fan
mhm,
of a book series. You hear that a movie's coming, you get super pumped, and then you see the first trailer and you're like, I don't know how to feel right now, you know?
yeah. Is that sort of how you're feeling about this? Because like, I didn't play Halo, I didn't watch there was a
Sure.
movie,
Yeah.
right? A Halo movie? Yeah,
There's been
um,
some, never like a full on movie, but there's been a couple live action Halo things before,
right.
and none of them have really felt at the level that you wanted. Like this is the full blown TV series, but we've had like shorts, and there was the Forward
Yeah,
Unto Dawn series, there's the Halo Nightfall series, and they've all just kind of been okay. And like this whole time, like Halo is like the big game on Xbox. It's been there since the launch of
Mhm.
the original Xbox. Master Chief is synonymous with the Xbox brand. So much so that when the original creators and developers, Bungie, decided, hey, we're separating from Microsoft, we're going to go off and do our own thing, Microsoft kept the Master Chief and Halo franchise from the creators. They
Yeah.
continue to own it, own the IP. That's how much this character means. So for me on some levels, I think like, man, this really should have gotten like the full Hollywood treatment. It really should have gotten like that kind of thing. And so when I see it time and time again, and it feels like it's more like we put like half to 75% of an effort in. Um, again, I haven't watched the show yet. I'm just basing it off of what I've heard from others, but even just visually, it like they went really true to form in the look, but at the same time, it feels wrong in some capacities, and I don't know the right way to explain it. I'm gonna have to watch the show
Hmm.
and really see it in
Okay.
action to make like a full formed opinion. But even just from looking at this, I'm like, it looks like they were just trying to like get as close to the exact look of like a cinematic from Halo as they could. And you'd think that'd be the right thing to
Right.
do, but for some reason when I look at it, I'm just like, it doesn't fit the world around him. Like I would expect it to be more scratched up maybe, right? I'd expect it to be a bit more like
Sure. Yeah.
like some patina forming on this armor. Like he's been in wars, he's been in battles. This thing should be beat up and scratched to hell, and it just looks too clean. And I think that's maybe what's
Yeah,
throwing me
that's
off. And again,
fair. Yeah.
promo shot, who knows? Maybe by the end of this series, it's beat up. We'll see. I'm really judging the book by its cover right now in many ways, and
Literally.
prove me wrong, right? But at
Yeah.
least from the early
Um
impressions that I've read and the early trailers and teasers that I've seen, that's the feeling I'm getting.
and the timeline for the timeline for this, it's not that it's like the beginning, the origin story of Master Chief, or is it? Maybe that's why it's not scratched
It's
up.
and I think partially yes, but the way it's been described to me is that this show will not follow the exact storyline that you get in the Halo games that we've
Okay.
had so far. There's been 6
Interesting.
main line games at this point. Chief has a very well-known story. There's been a lot of books. There's been a lot of extra, you know, um, information about
Stuff. Yeah.
this world. And so they are taking some creative liberties, which they should. I think that is the right thing to do when you're adapting anything. You always need to adapt it so it makes sense for the screen. It makes sense for new viewers. There's going to be people that have just never played a video game, but might be into action shows and sci-fi and might want to check this out,
Mhm.
right? You should adapt things to make it work for the big screen or the small screen. Totally agree with that. I think that makes sense. So I'm not opposed to them taking some liberties and making some changes. Some of the things that do bother me, they've come right out and said like, yeah, where you're gonna see his face. And I'm like, that kind of sucks. Like
Oh.
this has always been one of those
Yeah.
heroes that like, kind of the purpose of it is that it could be you. Like I get, again, like it is very male dominated, so it's going to be a male. But I think for me, it's always like it
Well,
could be me, or it could like anybody can put themselves
totally.
in the helmet and be Chief,
It's like
right?
the Mandalorians, right? Like
Yeah,
it's kind of the same idea, and I know obviously now with the actual show, The Mandalorian, we've seen their faces and so on
a
and
few
so
of them.
forth,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
that's kind of the
yep.
same idea. Yeah, they're all just like they're just badass dudes, just kind of like
Hmm.
Chief, I guess. Like
Yeah,
I've never played it, but I get that whole mystique. So that does suck. Hopefully they do it
yeah,
in a good way.
yeah, yeah. Fingers crossed. The actor was from The Wire. I think season 2 of The Wire, way back when. He was also in Orange Is the New Black. He's been in quite a few things, so not like
Cool.
non well known, but yeah, it'll be interesting. Pablo Schreiber, that's his name. Um, yeah,
Oh,
I'm
that does sound
I'm
familiar, but I don't know.
intrigued. I just like even shots
Hmm.
like this. It just like I get that it's sci-fi. It just for some reason like this looks too clean. Everything about this shot looks like it's very produced. It doesn't
Mhm.
feel real. Like
Yeah.
when I'm thinking of like really good science fiction and I think of like Dune, the world building, the way that was visually shown, you felt like that was real. Like these people were living on these
Yeah.
planets in these settings. Like everything about it felt like it was actually there and there's actually history
Lived
to it.
in.
This just
Yeah.
looks like this. He walked
Yeah.
onto a set that was just cleaned off and his armor was just cleaned off. And it's like, okay, everybody's shiny. Everybody get off the
Yeah.
set. Okay, film him walking to the shot. Lighting's perfect. Everything's perfect. It's like, you know, like
Yeah.
it's the
Yeah.
best
I
reaction
got
I've
you.
got.
Hopefully, I mean, yeah, maybe these pictures don't do it justice. I guess all we can do is hope. But
Yeah.
yeah, when does it come out? Or it's out now?
Today's the release. Yep.
Oh,
Yep. So you can go and watch it right
nice.
now. We shall see a couple of the writers here. I'm seeing here in code developed by Lone Star Awake. I don't know those shows. Last Ship to Closer, Peaky Blinders, Black Mirror, obviously. First episode directed by Otto Bathurst, who's done Peaky Blinders, Black Mirror. Those are some legitimate directing credits. So
Really awesome shows. Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting stuff.
Interesting.
A show I've been watching recently. I started watching this week, and I'm very hooked on it right now. It's an Apple TV Plus show. It's called Severance. Couple well-known actors there. Really good. Totally has me hooked. Have you seen a trailer? Have you like heard about this at all before?
Never heard of it. No.
Basically, picture that a corporation exists, big corporation that has the ability to separate your work life from your home life consciousness. So when you enter your work, home life doesn't come in. You literally, like, that part of your brain gets turned off. You don't know anything about your personal life the moment you walk through the doors. You just know you're a worker here, and that's what you do. And then when your day is done and you walk out, it flips, and everything about work and what you've been doing and who you know at work, everything gone, and you are back to the person you were. And it's basically like you've just walked through a door. It's almost like a revolving door, because you walk through the door and then the next moment you blink, you're walking out the door, and you're like, oh, my work day must be done. Like, totally locked out. You don't know.
Super weird. Yeah.
Right? That's the basic concept. So they work in a company where they've undergone this severance, hence the name, procedure. So it's literally installing like a microchip in their brain that controls this element. And it gets triggered when they go down the elevator one level into the floor that they work on, and that's when it triggers. So like they're always in the elevator, and all of a sudden it's just like, and then they're like, oh, now I'm the innie, as they call them. So the innies, the ones that work there, they don't know anything about the outside world. They know nothing. All they know is that they're these people. They have a name that they've been told is their name, and they know the people that they work with, but their whole life they don't sleep, right? Like, think about that. Like, you're basically just like quarantining a part of yourself, or partitioning a part of yourself, a part of your consciousness here, and you're locking it away. It's like you're in a prison. You never leave, you never sleep, because why would you sleep while you're working? Your outie sleeps. Your outie goes out and does things. You're here. You do a job. Like, your whole life is here. When you leave the doors, you're gone. And like, it's literally, for them, they blink and their day starts again. Like, there's no break.
That's
for
so
them.
weird. That's like that's so not being a human, though, which is like disturbing.
Well, and that's
I hate
that comes
it.
into it, right?
I hate it.
So we've found out. So the main character here, Mark, we find out that his wife has died in a car accident a few years before, and he has a drinking problem. And so what you basically understand is he is looking for a place just for 8 hours a day to not think about that. Right. So it's a really unhealthy thing, right? You're not dealing with it. You're just blocking it out essentially for 8 hours. But are you really even forgetting it? Because those 8 hours you're not thinking about it, you're not even conscious. It's the equivalent basically of being like asleep in many ways, except you're not even dreaming. You just cease to exist basically for those 8 hours.
Because then as soon as he goes out to the like outie world, then it all comes flooding back, and he hasn't actually done anything about it.
If your thought, the last thought you were thinking about when you went down the elevator was about this traumatic experience, and then you're coming back up the elevator, would you, like, yes, your brain's been doing other things in the meantime, but the moment you're back in your consciousness, nothing's changed. So how hard would it be for you to just start thinking about that thing again, right? Like, you're not really
Yeah.
getting a break if you really think about
So
it.
during those 8 hours, and maybe you haven't gotten this far yet, but during those 8 hours that they're, like, at work, for
Working.
example,
Yep.
what is
Yep.
their outie body doing?
Well, this is just it. Like, their body isn't getting separated. Like, you are going into this elevator, you are going down. It's just your brain just flips a switch basically,
Oh,
and you forget who you were and everything
that's
about your
so weird.
outside life, and you're now at work and
Yeah.
you're this person all the time, because the moment you end your day and you walk in the elevator, well, the switch flips, so you basically just turn off until the next time you come down. So for you, it's like you blink and you're right back at work, like your day just starts over. Can you imagine if
Yeah.
your whole life, your whole world was, I like open my eyes and I'm walking into work, and then as I'm walking out of work, I'm just walking back into work. There's no break. I
Yeah.
don't feel like there's been a break. My body may be rested because my outie took a sleep, but I could also walk into work hungover. And just like literally in that moment, you go
True.
from feeling like totally like whatever, like I'm tired from a day of work, to now it's just like, oh, I feel like a bag of shit. And I like in an instant,
Yeah.
like,
Oh my god, yeah,
so
no, I don't like any of that. That sounds horrible. I
so
hope that
there's
never
there's a
becomes
big part
reality.
of it. Yeah, there's a big part of it in this show, where like the outside world, there's a lot of talk in the media and whatnot in this show of how it's immoral. You're basically creating a part of yourself, a person that is like, you're basically trapping them there. They're like a slave. They're basically in jail. Like all these things, you basically have
Yeah.
created a person, and they have no free will, essentially, right? Like that
Wow.
person deals with emotions, like they are a fully functioning person, right? It's not like they're just robotic, that they come in, they sit down at a computer and they do data entry for 8 hours and then they leave. Like if that's all it
Mm.
was, like, heck, sign me up. If I can do a data entry job and not have to think about it once in my entire existence,
Oh,
great, that sounds
yeah,
awesome. But that's not the case.
and
These are fully
not have
functioning
to
people
sit
with
there.
emotions,
Oh my gosh, that's so
but
weird.
they don't know who they
Yeah,
are. They don't
like
know their childhood. They don't know their friends. They don't know if they have a family. They know nothing about themselves. All they know is that they are a person that is stuck in this building. you know,
so do they have, like is there any, like, workplace drama yet that
Absolutely. Yeah,
happens? So,
yeah,
like
totally. Yep.
oh, that's awesome, okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Yeah, that's
they
wonderful.
like, and this
I
is
mean,
the
I
this
still
is the
don't
fun
want it.
part. Like the bosses still have quotas. They still expect you to get certain things done in your day, and your department needs to perform. But the characters are like, why do I want to do this? And like, so like the character here sitting on the left,
My
like
gosh.
he's very motivated to reach certain milestones in his work, because you get rewarded with like a pie party, or you get rewarded with something to put on your
Ooh.
desk. So like he has a collection of like finger traps. I can't remember what they're called. Are they called just Chinese finger traps? Is that
Yeah,
the right name for them?
Chinese finger traps,
So
yeah.
he just has like a jar filled with them. He's like, yeah, every time you like hit this milestone, you get another one. So I've got a whole pile of them here. And he's just like, he's excited about it because it's the only thing he gets, the only reward these people get. It's not like they're getting a paycheck and they get to go off and reap the benefits of it. They're stuck there. So these like material rewards are the only thing for them to look forward to. So yeah, and like there's
If
other
I
departments, but they don't really interact. It's really interesting. They don't get to go in and out of the building at the same time either. It's staggered so that they don't see who they work with, because it's all confidential. So like I would leave at 5, you would leave at 5:15, but I'd already be gone before you come up the elevator. So we never cross paths.
Yeah, nope, I don't like it. That's too weird. That's
It's really
that's, like,
good. Like the
worse
show.
than yeah. I should check
Yeah.
it out. I think I have
Christopher
the
Walken's in the
ability.
show as well.
Um, nice.
He plays a character from another department that they've at the point that I'm at now, I think I've watched 4, maybe 5 episodes at this point, and I think there's only like 6 or 7 out so far, or like the 7th comes out tomorrow, something like that. But they're only
Okay.
starting to bump into these other departments, and like this building's clearly massive. Like
Ooh.
it's a
Yeah.
huge amount of space, a lot of hallways, and there's definitely like a thriller aspect to this show, because it's very like your innie is like almost afraid at times. So like the show opens on a new worker joining this department, this 4-person team. It was a 4-person team. They get to work on the first episode. They realize their former boss is just no longer working there. They don't get to ask a single question because they don't get to know why the person's left. They don't know if he died, if he got another job, nothing. They don't know a thing. He's just gone. And so the show starts with a new worker joining, and that person, you get to see what it's like from day one of you waking up in this place and not having a single memory, not knowing your name, not knowing how you got there,
That's so weird.
anything. It's really
And
cool.
do the other jobs, like, is every job, like, in the world like this?
No, this company, as far as I know, is the only
It's
company
just
doing
that
this
company.
offering. And it's not like it's forced upon anybody. Like, people have chosen to go work here and undergo this severance
Right.
procedure, which is
Yeah.
is the thing, right? It's
So
not
weird.
like, it's yeah. Again, yeah, like it's legal, but it's highly immoral. Is basically what we're hearing from the outside world from a lot of people. There's some activists that
Yeah.
you run into at one point out in the real world. They're saying kind of in a square, and they're saying like, stop the severance procedure. Like, this is immoral, and you kind of see like the inner battle between severance employees like Mark here and these activists, and just like, his opinion of himself and why he's doing this. And you get to see a bit of his like family life, like his sister and some friends as well, and how they interact and how his friends think about this job as well. So it's very well done. It's very cool.
Huh. Maybe if they organize a freedom convoy, they'll get what they want, what they're asking for.
So what I like about this is apparently there's actually a LinkedIn page for Lumen Industries. I'm going to look it up right now.
That's
Um,
funny.
I love it when it crosses over into the real world.
Yeah.
So here we go. So obviously we see their office here, which is
Okay.
very like, it's very like, the thing is, it's very like 70s, 80s esque. Like, it feels old when you go into this room.
Weird.
I'm still not sure what the timeline is in the real, like, outside of the office. It's hard for me to tell if it's modern day, because all the cars that I've seen up until this point seem to be a little bit older, like maybe like 90s era or like really early 2000s era. And I've never seen like
Huh.
a smartphone in the real world. Any of the technology
Mm.
you see, it tends to be a little bit older as well. But when they go to work, it feels like they went back a decade or two, like 2 decades back.
Huh.
And I think part of that is like, they can't update stuff too much without, really throwing off everything that happens down
Triggering
in
some, like,
this
weird
this
shit.
floor. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, but I love this.
Yeah.
So, like, okay, right away they do say like Lumen is a fictitious company from the original Apple series Severance. But then, if you don't read that, Lumen Industries is the leading biotech company founded by the visionary Keir Egan. We pride ourselves on maintaining his legacy of excellence and adhering to his 9 core principles: vision, verve, wit, cheer, humility, benevolence, nimbleness, probity, and wiles. What separates us from other
Okay.
workplaces? We offer select employees access to our patented severance process. What is severance? Imagine being able to come into work completely uninhibited by your home problems, or imagine being able to go home and never think about work using a minimally
That's the
invasive
better one.
surgical technique. Yeah, we are able to sever your brain so that essentially you've got a part of you that works and a part of you that plays. We want to change the way that major corporations approach the ever evasive work-life balance.
Oh, no.
Oh man, so good.
That's such an interesting concept for sure. I wanna check it out now. 'Cause, like, as a comparison, recently within the last, well, I guess I'm at 3 months now, I started working from
Yeah.
home, and so the
Yep.
whole work-life balance thing, kind of, like, totally changed for me. It didn't kind of, it completely changed for me, and
Yeah.
I find it, and I'm sure most people find it, so much easier to balance the work life world.
Totally.
I know some
Yep.
people at the beginning of the pandemic were having trouble, like, turning off and shutting down their computers and not looking at them
Mm,
when their workday
yep.
was done.
Absolutely.
I
Yep.
have not had that problem. I
Nice.
personally, like, as soon as 4:30 hits, I close my computer, I don't leave it open, I shut it down, like, I don't just sleep it or whatever, I completely shut it down.
Yep.
And I never sit there at that desk, unless I'm at work. So
Nice.
I haven't had a problem with that. I know a lot of people did, but like when I was working at my previous job with the robots,
Mhm.
I couldn't do any life stuff really while I was at work. And it drove me crazy because I'm like, there are some times when we're just not busy and I would love to be able to
Yep.
like, I don't know, do some other stuff, whatever it might be.
Yep.
And it just was almost impossible to have during working hours have any sort of also real life stuff happening, which is like most of your day is spent at work, right? During the
Yep.
week.
Yep.
So having the ability to do life things while you're also at work is huge. And I think I love that about working from home because I can do that and it doesn't impede on my like work. If I have work to do, I do the work.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, I don't know if I'd be down with just like shutting off that part of my brain while I'm gone
It's
for 8 hours. Like it's such a
kind of
long
scary
time,
to
you
think about,
know,
like,
of your
what am
day.
I doing? And like some of the things they address in it too
Yeah.
is like some of the friends outside when you see him interacting with other people, asking him about it, they're like, well, what if you're murdering people? Like that's like one of the first things that comes up, and it's like, well, like
Oh my
it's a
god,
company. I'm
true.
sure the company would be caught if they were, you know, getting these people to kill other people. Like you're going down the floor, you're not leaving the building. Like, but like it's just one of those things. It's like you don't know
This
what
is
you're
true.
doing. You have no idea what you're doing. You don't know a thing about your job, right? Um,
That is
which to
so
me, it's like,
weird. Oh my god.
and I understand, like, if, and this is where some of my like, because I still don't know what it is they actually do. They sit at a
Mhm.
computer terminal and they're looking at numbers. And I'm not going to go into detail, in case you do end up watching the show, and I suggest you do. But they're
Yeah.
essentially like they're working with numbers, and they are more or less looking for sequences. The best way I'm going to describe it without giving too much away. So what I've taken from that is I think they're trying to crack like encryption keys, for, maybe like military purposes. That's my best guess at
Or
this point.
banks
This
or
show could
whatever.
go more
Yeah.
sci-fi, who knows? But that's essentially what my
Turns out
take
they're
has
just
been on
mining
it.
Bitcoin all day.
Could be, you know,
That'd
absolutely
be
could
so
be.
funny. Oh my gosh.
um, but yeah, like, to me, like if this was a real option in the real world, and I got to find out, like, okay, I know exactly what my job is, and I know exactly how fucking boring it's gonna be. Sign me up. You know what I mean?
Sure. Like
Especially
you
if I
said
have to
with
go
the
to an
data
office, I'm
entry
not
thing,
doing it
right?
from home, right? Yeah, if it's
Yeah.
like that kind of like basic job. Imagine like doing a customer service job. Sign me up. Again, I
Yeah.
need to understand the moral stuff of it. Like, what am I putting this person through? Is this person that I'm like
Yeah.
allowing
Am I a
me to
huge
be
dick?
when I'm shutting off? Like, are they going to have any kind of quality life, or are they basically like being asked to be a robot and just give up all the things about life and just do this thing? Because that's gonna, like, psychological tolls like that do take an impact on your body. Surprise, surprise. You know what I mean? Like,
For sure.
stress
Yeah.
does hurt your body. So if in many ways you
All of
could
a
be
sudden,
adding
next day
more
you have
stress
like
on
only gray
yourself.
hair.
Yeah, like, who
Yeah.
knows? And also you're kind of giving control to a potentially very depressed person, that what are they going to do? Could they do physical harm to your body? You're going to suddenly wake up and have scratches, cuts, broken limbs. Who knows? You're not in control.
Oh my
You're
gosh.
allowing your innie to be in control of you. So there's so many things. And this is why I'm loving the show. Like, it's really making me think a lot about like
Yeah.
what this would actually be like.
That's awesome. Yeah. I'm definitely going to
Highly
check it
recommend.
out. That sounds really cool.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Um, anyway, moving on once again, because that's what we do here.
That's what
This is
we
exciting. So,
do.
have you seen the Batman, Rem? Have you had a chance?
I haven't. No.
Okay. Okay.
But
This won't
but
give
I know
like,
you love it.
yeah. I thought it was really good. I'm not going to give a whole lot away here. Yes, this is a bit
Okay.
of a teaser, but it's not like a teaser that's going to like spoil the movie so much as it's like
Okay.
at the end of the movie, this character came into play for like a brief 30 seconds. So the Joker, as everybody
Okay.
knows, you know, wasn't said by name in the movie. As I said, they had maybe 30 seconds of like partial screen time. You couldn't even see their whole face. A deleted scene has now surfaced from the movie. It's about 5 minutes long, and you actually get to see Batman, Robert Pattinson's Batman, interacting with the Joker, and you get to see his full face in this deleted scene. So it's kind of questioning like, why did they choose to remove this piece? Did they want to, bring more mystery to a future potential sequel, if it's even gonna get a sequel? I started watching the deleted scene. I haven't actually had a chance to watch the whole thing yet, but it looks pretty cool, if you ask me. Like it looks neat seeing
Yeah,
Batman chatting with the Joker there, and he looks really deranged.
he looks crazy. Like
Yeah.
and it's so blurry, but you can tell that he just looks like not well.
Yep. Yep. Like if we pull up, here, I'll see. Can you still see this? Okay.
Yeah, so far. Yeah.
Um, yeah. So
Oh,
like, it looks like they constantly keep him. Either you can see him clearly, his hands or the back of his head, but like his face is almost always blurred.
oh my god. I hope they make a sequel or a Joker movie based on this dude.
Right.
Who is that?
He was in
Like the
Eternals.
actor.
His name, they probably have it here. Keegan. What's the full name? Barry Keegan.
Oh, Barry Keegan. I don't.
Yeah. So, he was also
Huh.
in a Netflix show called The Umbrella Academy. Um,
Oh yeah, I never watched that. Oh, he's Irish. That makes sense
yep.
based on that name. Oh my god, he looks totally normal.
Yeah.
Yikes. That's
But
crazy.
like the accent also works really well with his Joker character. He was in Dunkirk. I still haven't seen The Green Knight, but apparently he was in The Green Knight. He's been in a growing number of things. He was in Chernobyl, the TV
Oh, he was in
miniseries, which is still
Chernobyl.
like
Cool.
messes with my head. That was so intense. Um,
Yeah,
let's see what else
it was
he's
so
been
good
in.
though.
Yeah, really, really good. Yeah, that seems to be kind of like the extent of the stuff that I know him from. Maybe he wasn't in the Umbrella Academy.
Huh.
Maybe I'm thinking of somebody else. Now I'm really curious who I was thinking of. Let's see.
Oh, that's crazy. I love the Joker. Like I think that's one of my favorite just like characters ever, and
Yeah,
obviously Joaquin Phoenix's Joker was awesome. Not the
yeah,
best, but awesome. I still think that Heath Ledger's was probably the best. Although I love Jack Nicholson.
very
Like I love them
iconic.
all, right?
Yeah,
Like
they're
they've
all
all
different
been
versions, right?
they're all so different and they've all been really awesome, but I liked
Hmm.
sort of how with the Joaquin Phoenix Joker for his own movie, it really made
Hmm.
him feel like just a guy that like
Yeah,
went through some shit and just lost his mind, right? Which I think is
yep,
like
yep,
it kind of goes along with the whole Batman is also just a guy that went through some shit, right?
yeah.
And now they're crazy or they're different or whatever. And whereas those other ones, like Heath Ledger's was very animated, if you will, obviously not actually, but like
Yep,
just more of a character that you couldn't really relate to. And then Jack Nicholson's was just like bonkers. So
yep.
um I think that's why myself and I think a lot of people liked the Joaquin Phoenix one, but anyway, it'd
Yep.
be cool to see another version still. Yee.
I really hope
Sorry,
it's going to
also
get a
my
sequel. I think it's going to get a sequel. I hope it's going to. I don't actually. I'm going to look it up because I
yeah.
don't know if anything's been announced about it. The Batman sequel. Let's see. Has anything been confirmed? Do, 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 do. I'm just reading through a quick thing here. Here, I'll bring it back up. Let's see. You think I'm finished, but perhaps you don't know the full truth. Let's mature.
Hmm.
When is the Batman 2 coming out? Hasn't yet confirmed. Um,
Okay.
but hopefully we get one.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I gotta see the first one still, obviously, but
yeah.
I'm excited. Yeah.
Um, Well, moving off movies and television for a minute. So, a game that came out recently, Gran Turismo 7 on the PS5 and PS4, has been getting a whole lot of hate recently. Actually, just like a lot of
Oh.
controversy. Kind of started about a week and a half ago, when the game just went down for like 24 hours roughly. Like, got a server update and you couldn't play the game. Which really scratches your head, because when you think of a lot of racing games, especially racing games that are just like single player, like could you imagine if Mario Kart, if you just couldn't play the game at all because the online component was down?
Yeah, that I mean, I wouldn't put it past Nintendo for that to happen, in all honesty, because like we were saying the other day when we were playing, like they're not great with the online thing, but so I could see
They're
that being
not.
like
But
a
like
script that they
you
would
can
make,
play Mario Kart by yourself locally on your
and
couch
not
with like
online. Yeah,
another person with a controller, and you can play all the races, and it's still the same game, just you're not playing with people connected over the internet. Not a big deal,
true.
right?
Yeah,
Internet goes down, cool, I can still play the game. If the internet goes down
yeah.
right now, you cannot play Gran Turismo 7. You can play like the tiniest little bit, but nothing that has anything to do with like progressing, making money. So like, in Mario Kart, you can earn coins, which you can then go and get new carts and unlock new things throughout the game, right? You can't
Mhm.
in Gran Turismo 7. Everything that matters in the game just stops, more or less.
Oh
And
my gosh.
the purported reason is for anti-cheat, because there is a heavy online element. Like a big part of Gran Turismo is that it's taking online racing seriously. Like it's actually like trying to simulate racing virtually on a console. And so they made the point of saying like, hey, like we don't want people going out there and finding ways to like mess with the game and get unfair advantages, is more or less what they're trying to argue for this like always online requirement to play the game properly, even if you're not playing online with other characters. Yes, Alex, stupid Gran Turismo.
So weird.
um, the problem that a lot of people have with this is, fair point, if you want to say that like not getting unfair advantages, not like unlocking things without actually having to earn it. But then they go out there and they start locking content behind a paywall, microtransactions. So if to get this car or to
Ugh.
get this thing, you have to pay real world additional money to get those things. And the thing that really frustrates people about this is it's not like this is a free to play game, or like a $10-20 game that's like, cool, I get the base game and then I can buy add-ons to like fill out my experience and tailor it for me. This is a $70 game. So you
Yeah,
got a
I'd be
70
so
or an
pissed.
$80 game that you're spending, which for most games, that is the full game. And then on
Yeah,
top of that, you can pay for things that will enhance the game in other ways, right? Maybe they release a big booster pack of tracks a la Mario
I
Kart
was
8,
just gonna say
right?
again, like
um,
Mario Kart. Yeah,
but when I spend $30 on that, I know I'm getting 48 tracks. You know what I mean? Like I know I'm
yeah,
getting
it's
a
crazy.
significant upgrade. I'm getting twice the game added on for $30. This is a game where they're
Mhm.
saying you're paying $70 for essentially 20% of the game.
Not cool.
So it's really got
Not
people
cool.
frustrated. And as you can see here, people are finding ways to, AFK away from keyboard. They're finding ways to earn currency in the game without like playing it the way it's intended to be played, without cheating, mind you. They're not technically cheating. They found a way to do this, and they're doing this because they're basically being forced to by the game's publisher and developer. The game's publisher and developer is saying, hey, if you want to get the experience, you better be willing to spend a lot of your real world money to get this stuff. And they actually went so far as to say, hey, these cars in the real world cost a lot of money, so we think they should be valued similarly in the virtual world. They're trying to pull that shit. And it's like,
Oh
this
my
is
god, the whole
virtual,
reason we're doing it in a video game is because we can't do it in the real world. Like, otherwise, I would just go
right?
buy a Ferrari
Escapism.
or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, what? This
So
is crazy.
it's a weird place that we're
It's so
finding
weird.
ourselves in. But the fact that people have figured out how to get 650,000 credits per hour, which is the equivalent of $150 of real
That's
world
awesome.
money to pay to get that same amount of credits. Like that's a significant thing that people have figured out how to make money in the game. But like, again, like, how ironic is it that the only method to get one of the high-end cars is to let an automatic script drive a sci-fi car around a fictional track? So much for the real driving simulator, as the tagline is. Like, it's just one of those things where you're like, you guys have clearly lost touch with your base out of greed. You're forcing your player base,
Yes.
the fans of your franchise, to basically break the game experience because you were too greedy to just give them what they should have gotten for their money that they've already spent.
That's brutal.
It's really frustrating. So there's a couple things to be pissed off here about. This force always online thing to avoid cheating, which you can find other ways around. I read a whole article earlier today about like why people cheat in the first place and how developers can approach it in a way that isn't going to alienate the fan base. So that's one thing. Do better when it comes to your anti-cheat measures.
Yeah.
And then secondly, and yeah, 100% what Alex is saying, like a game you spend $100 on should not have microtransactions, period. 100% agree for mainline content, but this is where I want the discussion to go. Microtransactions in a game, I think there is a place for it, even in a full cost game, when it doesn't affect your ability to perform in that game. And what I mean by that is, to get the best cars in the game, I shouldn't have to spend additional real world money. When I think it's okay to add a marketplace to have an opportunity to make more money as a game maker, I think of cosmetics. So the ability to apply a design. So let's say there's a very specific, like, you know, like you can see this race car here has a very specific look to it, right? This is a famous look for a famous race car in the real world. Give me the car in its standard look. And then for a microtransaction, go ahead, sell this for $1, $5. I don't give a shit. Somebody wants it bad enough, they'll spend the money to change the look without affecting the gameplay in any meaningful capacity. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. That makes sense to me. Like, I would not be somebody that would pay for that, but I could easily see people wanting, like,
lots
even
of people
especially if it's like a reasonable amount. Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes
that
makes perfect
there's
sense.
Games that have been doing this for years. Like, one of the earliest examples of this was a game called Team Fortress 2. It was on the PC. It was just a shooter game, and all of the microtransactions in the game were for apparel. Like, you could buy a hat, you could buy a mask, you could buy a jacket. Like, that's all the microtransactions were. And it did really well. It made a lot of money from that being it. Fortnite is a perfect example. Fortnite is a free-to-play game that anybody can pick up and play and win just without spending a single dollar. But you can spend tons of money, and a lot of people do, and that game has made more money than many other games I've ever made, because there's so many cosmetic things you can buy for it. And I think that's totally fine. Like, give me some stuff to unlock like as a player to keep me playing. But like, for everybody else that wants to spend the money and wants to have their character look a certain way, like, go for it, you know?
Sure. Yeah.
But
that's
like,
crazy though.
For
I
me,
can't believe that they
Yeah.
I just can't believe
just
that
like,
they
for
like
me as like a 30-something-year-old like dad now, like, I don't have as much time to play games anymore. So when you're telling me I have to grind way more than I ever had in a previous entry in your series to get the same kind of progress, just because you've decided, hey, we'll give you a faster way if you give us more of your money, that really alienates me very quickly.
Yeah, that's not okay. That's not okay at all. So have they responded at all? Like, have they said that they're gonna change anything, or okay?
No, they haven't responded
they're
like
not
that yet.
to.
And so this was something that, you know, and it's shocking that game developers are still trying this same thing, because it was only a couple years ago that Star Wars Battlefront 2 was released by EA, and it wasn't quite the same thing, but there's a massive controversy about their approach to microtransactions in that game, because the sheer number of hours you were going to have to spend to unlock certain characters like Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker, they were just in the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours to unlock some of these characters. But you had the ability to win them in a loot box. And thankfully, loot boxes have basically disappeared out of games at this point. But the idea was you could spend real world money to get a box of random loot. that you could unlock in the game,
Right.
but this is a way that you could unlock it at random much faster. So theoretically, you could spend $10-$20 and you could unlock Luke right now. But the odds were low, and so the reality was you're going to spend hundreds of dollars to have the chance of unlocking this character without having to spend
Right, because you don't
hundreds
know
and
what's
hundreds of
in those.
hours playing the game. And it's just
Yeah.
like that just spiraled a huge amount of controversy. The game got review bombed, and Gran Turismo has gotten review bombed. It's the lowest rated game right now on Metacritic for any first party PlayStation title right now. It's like a 2.5 rating. Like it's just really, really bad for a game that like it's a well-made game. Like it works well to play. It's just because they made these decisions to nickel and dime their fan base, their customer base, people are reacting really poorly, as they should.
Yeah, because it's been around for a long time, as far as I
Yep.
know, right? And like probably has such a solid fan following, and everybody that has played it wants to keep playing it. They probably get new people wanting to play it all the time. And then to just go and do this shit when like you really probably didn't need to. You know, you don't need that extra money. You don't need it. Like just let people enjoy the game. That's why you make it, presumably, is for people to enjoy. So that's horrible.
You would hope.
Well,
problem is you get the suits, you get
Yeah.
the corporations who they don't think about that aspect of it, right? They look at it financially, they look at it as numbers. Publicly traded companies have a responsibility to make as much money as they can for their shareholders. It's actually like a legal precedent for publicly traded companies that you should take every meaningful opportunity to monetize and increase the success and value of your product.
So annoying.
And your company. And it's one of those things that like that gets twisted, right? Because when I think about that, if your responsibility is to ensure the success, well, you're taking a gamble when you're messing with your customers in this way, and you could actually alienate them, and you could end up making less money because less people may end up buying the product up front as opposed to making money through these microtransactions. And so you're taking a risk, and you could damage the franchise long term as well. People might not come back to it.
I was just gonna say that. Yeah. Exactly. Like if this happened to me after like how many have there been? Like 7, right? This is the 7th.
This is the 7th. Yeah, this is the 7th core game. Yep.
So let's say for the last 7, you've bought them all, and then all of a sudden this stuff starts happening. Like I'm not buying anymore because I think it's ridiculous. So I'm never going to buy this game again unless they make major changes. And so now you've just lost my $80 every time you release a new one, and probably a lot of other people's too.
Yep. And that's the risk. And I think the thing that they're, banking on here is that there's really no other sim racer on the PlayStation console at the same caliber and in the same like league as Gran Turismo. And I think they're banking on that PlayStation fans that want this experience are going to buy this game. There are other racing games. They just they don't quite match the same level as what Gran Turismo brings to the table. But here's the thing, like I think we're at a stage where like more games are available across more platforms than ever before, and there's better sim racing games on the PC. But then there's also like on the Xbox side of thing, like Forza has been really like all the fan service. Like they really dig into the fan service side of things more than they do trying to make money and trying to make a buck off every feature.
And that's how how it should be, in my opinion, with video games. Like it's supposed to be fun.
Yeah. So
that's too bad.
Anyway, that's enough about Forza. It's super, or sorry, Gran Turismo 7. It's super frustrating. I have not put in a lot of time into it yet. I do intend on spending a good amount of time in it, just like experiencing it for myself. Again, yeah, I understand that there hasn't been a ton of content at launch yet, but from the previous title of Gran Turismo Sport, the only Gran Turismo game on the PS4, over time the game really built out and built up, and it became a game that people really loved. And so I'm hoping they learn, they develop, and they change accordingly to, treat their fans with respect. And hope. So we'll see. It's been a while. I haven't owned a Gran Turismo game since the PS3, Gran Turismo 5. So it's been like 15
Couple.
years since I've played one.
Oh
13
wow.
years,
Yeah.
something like
Okay.
that. So it's been a long time since I've played a Gran Turismo game. So I've been looking forward to this. Don't let me down, Polyphony Digital. Don't let me down. Kind of in the same vein as this. So, and this is really PlayStation specific. So a week ago, we got to see a first look at the Hogwarts Legacy game, which is really exciting for Harry Potter fans. It's
Ooh.
like a big adventure, action adventure game that takes place on and surrounding the Hogwarts school. And so you go, you get sorted into your house, you know, whether you're
House.
Gryffindor, Hufflepuff, Slytherin, or Ravenclaw. Hey, I remembered all of them.
Nice. Nice.
My house last, Ravenclaw. But Hogwarts Legacy, yeah. So you get sorted into that. You learn magic, and then you kind of go and you deal with baddies and whatnot. And it takes place in like the 1800s, so
That's
it's
awesome.
before all the stuff that we know. You get to see a lot of like the more. I'm going to use the word legacy, even though that's in the title, but legacy, historical people of the Harry Potter world, of the wizardry world. And it looks really cool. Like the actual gameplay footage looked really neat. I've been looking forward to it. They announced this game like 2 years ago, and so we've been slowly getting information, and this was the biggest reveal so far, and we have an idea that's coming out this fall approximately.
Okay.
Looks really cool. But right away after this came out, GameStop started like releasing like the different pricing for the games, and so it's going to be on PlayStation 4 and PS5, Xbox One, and Xbox Series X, you name it. It's even going to be on Switch actually.
That's
but people saw
news.
the pricing right away, and it stirred up this conversation of, you know, if I buy the PS4 game today, should I not get a free upgrade to the PS5 version? Right? You're developing the game at the same time. It's not like it's coming out a year later for PS5 and you've released like the remastered edition. You're releasing the game and you've basically made it at a lower quality setting to be able to play on the PS4. But you're charging $60 for the PS4 version, 70 or $80 for the PS5 version. At what point do you, as the consumer, decide maybe I'm not going to buy this game on the PS4 when it comes out because I'm planning on getting a PS5 soon and I don't want to have to buy it twice, right? And you as the developer, we're also in this weird situation where for the first kind of almost first full year of the PS4 and the Xbox, or the PS5 and the Xbox Series X being on the market, a lot of games are offering, if not a free upgrade, they're at least offering like a $10 or a $20 like upgrade path to getting to the next gen version.
Yeah.
And so, and that's been more on the PlayStation side. The Xbox side has actually been really pushing the free upgrade front. They've really been working to make sure that people that get the games on the older platform get a smooth experience moving to the new console. They've taken more of like the approach that we've had on PC for years, which is you buy the game, and then if you have a better PC, you just turn up the specs. Like there's no, you're not buying different tiers of the game. It's not like I'm buying like, you know, Mario Kart low settings and then Mario Kart high settings in a year from now because I have a better, like I'm not doing that on the PC. I'm buying the game and then I'm just adjusting a few sliders or menus to say like, yeah, my computer's not up to snuff, so I'm going to set, you know, graphics to low quality just so the game plays smoothly. You know what I mean? And that's essentially all they're doing when they're releasing the game at the same time for PS4 and PS5. They're just releasing a version that matches that hardware so it doesn't play like garbage. Like that's all they're kind of doing. So
yeah, like really it should just be one price point for everything. And then when you then upgrade to your sorry, this chair's weird. When you upgrade to your PS5 or whatever, Xbox Series X, is that what it's called? Then yeah, you just get the upgraded version. Like everything's digital right now, so it shouldn't require like any hardware or anything. It's just an update to the game.
That's how, like, you know, and that's what Xbox has more or less been doing. But the way that like PlayStation's been handling it, even if like you buy the game digitally, it's a different PS4 purchase from PS5, and you can have both installed at the same time, and one will launch as the PS4 quality, and one will launch as the PS5 quality. They've just
So
done they've
weird.
taken a weird approach with it. I think Xbox had the benefit of being like a Microsoft, like Windows. They know how to do this on the
Yeah.
PC already, and they've basically like Xbox is more or less running Windows with an Xbox skin over top. Like that's in a lot of ways
Yeah.
what they
Yeah.
and so, a lot of developers know how to develop for Windows. A lot of games have been there's more games on Windows than any other platform ever, all time, period. Stamp.
Yeah.
So, not to make this an
So
Xbox versus
crazy.
PlayStation comparison, but it's just like for me, I think now more than ever, like especially with this chip shortage, it's hard to get the new consoles, even if you want it. Why not, as the developer, just say, hey, like it's not costing us any more to make this version. We were already making the PS5 version. We decided we were going to make it for both consoles. Why are we charging people potentially twice for this? Like that again, it's just
Yeah.
money grabs. It's
It just seems
nickel and
so
diming
crazy.
all over again.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So
So silly.
frustrating.
I don't like it.
So silly. So
Yeah.
silly. I personally think, and I think you agree, all games, if you that are coming out now, if you're still making games for the old platform, give people the free upgrade when they eventually upgrade.
For
Because most
sure.
people, like a lot of people, are gonna wait 2-3 years before they get a PS5 because they just can't afford to buy the latest thing right away. There's gonna be a cheaper
Or
version
there
coming
aren't
down the
any.
road eventually, right? Well, you just can't buy them right now. So, like, be kind to your customers. I'm asking you, I'm begging
Yes.
you. Moving along, I'm gonna skip over a couple things, but I have to share this amazing thing.
Oh,
So,
that's what that was. Okay, I saw a picture of somebody's furry controller, and I was like, "What
yeah,
the hell? That's
so
hilarious."
Sonic the Hedgehog 2, the
That's
movie, is
funny.
set to come out very soon. Um, as a promotion, and this isn't going to be available for sale. This is actually like you can win this. This is just like a sweepstakes kind of thing.
Oh,
You can
okay,
win
okay,
this
okay.
Xbox Series S themed. So you got the golden ring there, Knuckles and Sonic,
Yep.
and they've made these furry controllers, and they're honestly like I would never want to buy one of these, but I think for the
Oh my
novelty,
god.
it is so cool and hilarious to see these two fuzzy furry
Your hands
controllers.
would
Like
get so sweaty. Oh my gosh. They're
like it
hilarious,
reminds me
though.
of the denim controller, like the Canadian tuxedo Xbox controller that we saw
Yep.
last year. It's just like it's just fun. I think purely from like from a novelty thing. This is something if I ever won this, it would be on a shelf. I would never use this. It just
Yeah,
wouldn't make sense to
totally.
use it. But like to put it on display, I think would be great. I think it's hilarious. I had to share it.
I love it.
Um, So that's fun. Other quick news:
That's
Steam,
fun.
the big software games store for a PC, apparently it's coming to Chrome
Keep
OS. So people
talking.
with Chromebooks, yeah, all good.
Keep talking. I'll be right back.
Chrome OS is going to be getting Steam. It's actually available in alpha now, but you have to have powerful um pretty powerful Chromebook to be able to play it. So it's not going to just play on any $300 Chromebook. You're probably looking at ones that are in the more $800 to $1,000 range to be able to play the games that are going to be released through Steam on Chrome OS. So that is something that is available now in alpha testing. The next Witcher game has kind of been announced, but more about what development platform they're using, what engine they're using to make the game. And as everybody knows, CD Projekt Red recently released Cyberpunk 2077, did not go well. That game really struggled across the different consoles. And so they're moving away from their own in-house Red engine, and instead they're moving to Unreal Engine 5 or UE5 developed by Epic Games. And that games engine is just so incredibly impressive. It's really, really robust and really powerful. And so it just kind of makes sense that, okay, we've had enough, time spent trying to make Cyberpunk playable on our engine. Why are we trying to develop a game and a game engine at the same time? Let's just focus on what we do really well, making games with incredible stories, and let Epic Games and Unreal Engine 5 do what they do really well, making these incredible game engines. let's partner up and do it right. So that's how they're moving forward with the next Witcher game in series moving forward. Welcome back, Rem.
Nice. Thank you. There's a cat in
Ow.
not where a cat should be.
Fair.
I could just hear something, and I'm like, "What is going on?" Carry on.
More controversy coming, Ram. So we're moving into the tech world, and recently Apple has released the Mac Studio. This was just last Friday. So the Mac Studio and the Studio Display. So the Mac Studio is a Mac Mini, but basically triple the depth of it, but it's the same like footprint. And it is the most powerful Mac you can buy right now. It's actually incredible, the performance that this thing puts out. Yeah, technically for some things, the old Mac Pro can still outperform in very specific workloads. But the Mac Studio overall right now is Apple's like flagship. If you want an incredible computer, you're running a studio, you need something that's just going to be, super powerful while also being really energy efficient. Like nothing matches its energy efficiency for the performance it's putting out. Like this is just like, incredible what they've managed to pull off here. It's out now, and a lot of people are really liking it. However, with a new product releasing, especially in the tech world, people like to rip it apart and figure out what makes it tick, because that's just how we do here in the tech world. I am 100% guilty of this. So iFixit went ahead right away as soon as they got a hold of one. They got the bottom of it taken off, and we can see the logic board here. So, you can see right away, like you got your IO ports, you got like your power plug here, your USB, Ethernet, all that kind of stuff. You got a speaker here. You got your massive heatsink and heat pipes for the Apple Silicon, the M1 Max or M1 Ultra, the new chip that they've released. So just really powerful CPU. We can see all of our antenna connectors here. I was an Apple genius. I know what all this stuff is. I used to repair things like this. The controversy that's coming, and you can see it in the headline, is so here we can see the solid state drive. That's your storage. That's what makes all the things, all the photos, videos, everything you have on your computer is stored on this little thing right here. People are a little bit surprised because for the last couple like Mac Minis and MacBook Pros, the solid state drive has not been plugged into a port. It's been soldered into the logic board. It's actually been just built in and not replaceable, which means if something goes wrong, you have to replace this whole logic board. And that's the case right now for all the current MacBooks and whatnot. It's been going on like that for a few years already. Thankfully, repairability wise, this is actually excellent, because if you needed to upgrade your storage later on, if you needed to replace this because your flash storage failed, it's actually more cost effective, and it's really easy to do. It's really fast. You got one screw and it pops out of the port, as it should be, especially in a desktop computer. Awesome. There's no reason to build it in because you're not saving on space. You've got a big enough chassis to accommodate, having a port where something sticks up, half an inch or a quarter of an inch. That's okay. In a thin computer, it still sucks that it's built in, but you start to understand, okay, space is at a premium. It's portable. You want it to be thinner, lighter. I get it. There's a case that can be made, even if it's a shitty one. What surprised people is two things. Apple said that the storage was not user upgradable on the computer, and yet here we go. We can see that it is replaceable. So you wonder, why is it not user upgradable? And B, there's another port that this fits into. So you actually have two solid-state drive ports. So right away, there's controversy, and there's been some time passed, and people have actually figured out on the higher spec computers the higher spec Mac Studios that you order from Apple, these will actually come preloaded. So like if you got like an 8 terabytes of storage, they would just do 2 4 terabyte solid-state drives. Totally fine, totally normal, not a big deal.
Okay.
The thing is that has been frustrating people, and again, there's more updates about it, but that's been frustrating people that have been trying this, is if they remove this and they put it into the other port, the computer doesn't boot. You actually get like a blinking light on the front of the computer, basically like an SOS light, amber LED just blinks like SOS on the front, and it just, the computer doesn't work. And the reason for it, or actually, I'm jumping ahead. So that happens. Also, if you take this drive, you unplug it, and you put it into the exact same port of an equivalent model, the same thing happens on that other computer. So the drive is
this is very weird.
Initially it wasn't. People were getting really pissed off, but they got pissed off too early because all the documentation's actually there to explain what's happening. People just jumped to conclusions
Okay.
and said Apple's anti-repair, Apple blah blah blah, screw Apple, they hate their customers, blah blah blah. It's more nuanced than that, and I actually can't really get all that upset about it because I actually do understand why Apple's doing this, and they've been doing it for a while technically. So where this is plugged in currently, and the fact that this drive is plugged in with this computer, these are paired through firmware. And the reason for that is if you had this computer stolen from your studio and you had important stuff on there, let's say you're a Hollywood studio and you're working on a Marvel movie, they're very heavily sought after. People would pay good money to get early access, early looks at your movie. Not a good thing if that gets out in the wild. You can put passwords on, you can encrypt your computer, make it impossible for somebody to start up and get access. But if they pull out the drive, well, they might be able to pull the data off of it. What Apple's done here is they've paired this with this logic board, which means if it's connected somewhere else, it's saying, hey, you're not a match. I don't trust you. I'm not going to let you access my data. Yeah. Makes sense from that security perspective. Kind of weird that it doesn't work in the other part. Not the biggest deal in the world, but it is a little bit strange that it's like so specific that it has to be in the exact same, like this port is mapped to whatever secure enclave they've built in here to say it has to match exactly this configuration. Otherwise, you're not going anywhere, buddy. But here's the other side of it. When you do plug it into the other side, you could technically still make the computer work. What it does, that light that's blinking is just what's called like a DFU mode, more or less saying we're in a firmware lock. If you want to make this computer work, you're basically going to have to wipe it completely and install the OS, and then it's going to be set up as new, and it'll work. It'll work totally fine. Moving this over here, it's just you're basically saying like, I don't care about the data. I'm going to wipe it, and I just want to use the computer as a brand new computer. That's what it does. So the frustrating thing is because you can't. These aren't just standard like solid state drives that I can buy off the shelf at Best Buy or Canon Computers, order online. These are proprietary designs for Apple. So essentially, if you ever are going to even have the option to upgrade, you're going to have to buy it through Apple. And it's going to have to be once they release a kit that you can do it with, which they've done in the past. They actually did it on the Mac Pro. Initially, when it came out, you couldn't upgrade the storage. If you tried doing the same stuff, the same problems occurred. So it is one of those things where it's kind of like it kind of feels anti-consumery because I'm being forced to wait for Apple to make it possible, but it's not unheard of. It actually happened with the PS5. The PS5 has 2 storage slots. One of them is accessible by the user. It was not working until in like October of November of last year when they released a software update saying, okay, now some drives will work with it. So it is what it is, but it is interesting nonetheless.
It is a very like Apple thing. Like it feels very Apple, but once you explained everything, I was like, okay, that makes sense. I get it. Like,
yeah. But it's funny. You can jump to that conclusion
and I
very
do get
quickly
the security
to just be
thing
like,
too.
Yeah. It's so easy to get frustrated and pissed off, but sometimes you just have to dig into it a little bit deeper. And like, it still doesn't feel amazing. Like the new Mac Studio, the new Studio display, the monitor, the power cord is not removable. And it's like, what monitor has anybody bought in the last 20 plus years that you couldn't just unplug the power cable and plug a longer one in, or a replacement if, God forbid, your cat chews through the cable?
Your cat chews it. Yeah.
Basically,
very
if your
real
cable gets
problem.
damaged, you have to take your whole display to an Apple store for them to fix it or replace it. Which is just kind of like, why? And the biggest questions that I have that come from this is the iMac that just came out last year. They actually did a MagSafe plug into it. Like it's this little plug that goes into the back and it connects through a magnet. And it's like, just give us that. You've already developed it. You've already patented it. You have it. You're manufacturing it now for another product. Why didn't you just do that as well for the same display so that it can be removed and changed? I get it's probably a lot more expensive to use that versus just like a built-in cable, but also somebody had to like, this is not like a connection that you've ever had before, which means you spent money on developing this rather than just using a pre-existing cable option. Like, it's just
Yeah. And
mind-boggling.
people are spending so much money on these computers. Like, what's
Yeah.
another $100 for like a
What
proper
here's the
plug
thing.
for your
It would have
monitor?
been less if you went with a normal power cable, the same power cables you
Well,
used
that
to
too.
use on
Yeah.
the old Apple Thunderbolt displays. This is a standard cable that works with every single PC, every single monitor I've ever come across. Your cable bus, big deal. You get another one, you plug it in. Like it's just one of those that is more anti-consumer than what's happening here with the storage. Like
Totally.
that is actually a piss
100%.
off to me. Linus Tech
Mhm.
Tips on his WAN show last week or earlier this week,
He's cool.
he actually forced it to come unplugged. He spent like he had somebody else holding it and he just wrenched on it and he managed to pull it out. And you can actually plug it back in and it'll work again. But it's very
That's
clear,
so
like
funny.
the display flexed while he was pulling on it to get it unplugged. And
Oh
since
my
then, there's
god.
also been some leaked images from Apple's service guides that show the tool that an Apple Genius Bar would have to use to remove it. And it does essentially just get pulled out. But it's clearly not meant to be something that like you're unplugging and plugging back in all day, every single day. So really strange choice. And the display
Yeah.
is getting mixed
It's
reviews anyway. It's a
super weird.
$1,600 display that has similar specs to $900 displays, but in a much prettier package. So it's just one of those things where it's like 2 steps forward, 2 steps back. Like
Yeah. Like
it's
maybe 3.
yeah, really strange choice on Apple's
That's
part there.
crazy.
But
Well,
yeah,
at
that's
least
my tech
the
news.
computer itself is pretty cool.
Computer's really impressive. Yeah, if
Yeah.
I was doing more like photography work, and actually, and this is an interesting thing with the Mac Studio. It's really designed at creatives, right? Like this isn't the computer you're going to sell to mom and dad or, like
Or a
just
college
general
student or
business
something.
usage, college students. Like unless you're going to college for a creative program where you're doing like graphic design or you're doing audio editing, like something like that, this computer is not for you. That like the name describes what it's for. It's meant to be put in a studio of some kind. That is what this computer is built for. But it is one of those interesting things. Like when I think about like, hey, like where would this fit into my life? Like if I really wanted to go down like the photography or videography route, something that I'm actually very interested in. I see myself as someone who would want to be able to do this work anywhere I am. And that's why I think I would probably go with like a really powerful laptop that, yeah, I might be giving up some performance,
Yeah.
but the flexibility of being able to just work wherever I am, I think trumps having a higher performing single desktop computer. Unless I had all the money in the world where I could have both. You know what I mean? Like if I was in a situation where I could have the studio and then I come to the studio and I do all the work on the studio, but when I'm out and about on location, I can work on location. Like, cool. That's amazing. But let's be real. Most people aren't going to be able to afford that or do that. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, crazy. I don't know. I can't see myself ever needing a computer like the Mac Studio, but I barely use my own personal laptop anymore, so I don't know.
Yep. I get it. That's all my news. That's all the stuff. Oscars Sunday.
Nice.
You can be watching
this Sunday already? Damn. Yeah,
this
I mean,
Sunday.
hopefully I'll try to check it out.
Yeah, Sunday, March 27th.
I don't have cable anymore, so
it is the 94th Academy Awards. I'm sure you'll be able to stream it maybe somewhere. I don't know.
Maybe, yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised being that it's the Oscars. They're probably still tied to a specific cable provider, which is like, what year is this?
Right?
Come on now. If you're not like offering streaming options on like YouTube or an equivalent platform in this day and age for a major ceremony or like view or like something that gets tons of views, you're actually giving up views now if you choose to continue to stick to the old deals that you had for years and years with like the big like NBC and whatnot, Fox, all those kinds
100%.
of channels, right? Yeah. Crazy stuff. What do you got going on over the next little while, Ram? What's new? What are you doing?
Not a whole lot. Yeah, I don't really have much to talk about here. Um, my cousin was recently an extra in Nightmare Alley, so we did watch that the other day. Have you watched it?
That's cool. No. Nightmare Alley?
It's got Bradley Cooper in it. He's like one of the main characters and a bunch of other names. It was good, but it was
Cate
very weird
Blanchett?
and it was super long. Yeah,
Wow.
Kate
That's quite a
Blanchett. Like
cast.
I would suggest watching it. It's a very strange movie.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, what I was going to say is I was kind of bummed because I saw that it was playing at Princess Cinemas here in Waterloo.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I was like, "Oh, that would be a really fun one to go see at a theater like that," right? Like a
Yep.
smaller theater where you can have some beer or whatever, like, and just more intimate
Yep.
because it's such a strange movie. I think it would fit that very
Yep.
well. So because I miss seeing it there, I'm going to probably try to check out what else is playing at Princess and maybe try to
Mhm.
check out a movie there because I've actually never seen a movie at Princess Cinema, which is crazy.
So I used to, like Jamie and I used to be
Uh,
members at the Princess, and so you would get like a discount. But you can also just go to Princess Cafe and get like dinner and a movie combo, which is nice as well.
yeah,
Which you can actually save by doing that. So I love the Princess. It was like a favorite of mine. I'm also sad to hear that I've missed it now. There, and the reason is I looked it up
I
while you were
know.
talking. This is a Guillermo del Toro film. This is his latest movie, and I love
Yes.
Guillermo del Toro. So,
Yeah. And
um,
it is very him. Like, you definitely get
yeah,
that, like, that feel from this movie.
yep.
It's just really strange, and I did like it. It was a little bit too long for me, but I have next to no, like, attention span for movies, so, it was losing me a little bit by the end, but,
Yeah.
yeah, it was good. Would recommend, checking that one out. It's on Disney Plus now.
Oh, it's on Disney
Um
Plus now?
Yeah, that's where I watched it, so but, yeah, that was just my, like, "Dang, I should have
Yeah.
watched it at Princess Cinema because I think it would've been awesome." So I'm gonna check something else out there, I think. Um,
Yeah.
what or when, I don't know, but yeah.
Yep. Well, I'll probably be watching at Matt's Cinemas, Death on or Nightmare Alley. So that's going on. I
Prince's
mean, hey,
Cinemas.
you don't have cable, but at 6:30 p.m., according to the Princess Cinemas Showtime's calendar, they are going to be hosting the Oscars there, so you could always go down and watch it there.
Oh, I'm not gonna do that, but
That's neat. And on that bombshell, everyone, thanks for tuning in to
Sorry.
this week's episode of It Is What It Is. Ram's not going to be going to the Princess to watch the Oscars, but it was an idea. So there we go.
It was, I appreciate it.
All right, guys.
Nora's
Thanks so
back.
much for tuning in. Cat's back to say
Bye.
goodbye. Thanks so much. And we'll see you next week.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Do, do, do,
Bye.
do, do. Mana, mana.